And it's funny, my dad's definition of sacrifice. He's like, it's not sacrifice because all you're doing is trading in for something that you really want.
You're listening to Spartan Combat on Spartan Up. Learn from battle-tested combat athletes with your host, Ryan Warner.
Spartans! Welcome back to the Combat Series. This is your host, Ryan Warner. Today, we have Cornell wrestler, two-time national champion, Yianni Diakomihalis, on the podcast to talk about sacrifice and what that means to him. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Amazfit. From May 18th to May 31st, Spartan Up listeners can head to us.amazfit.com/pages/Spartan to save $40 on a bundle that includes the Amazfit T-Rex Pro. That's us.amazfit.com/pages/Spartan.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Combat Series. Today we have Yianni Diakomihalis. He's a two-time NCAA champion and one of the best wrestlers in the country. He's known for his total focus and dedication to wrestling. And in this episode, I wanted to share Yianni's thoughts on sacrifice and how that sacrifice leads to confidence, and finally, how to have the courage to execute under fire. These are all principles core to the Spartan mission, and I think you're going to see a lot of value in it. Let's start with sacrifice. Here, Yianni shares a story about what sacrifice means to him, and it all started with a conversation he had with his dad at the ripe age of 10 years old.
He kind of sat me down and was like, listen, wrestling's one of those sports, anybody can be great at it, right? You don't have to be 6 feet tall, you don't have to be 300 pounds, you don't have to be super fast, like you can become great, right? But it's really, really hard. It takes a ton of sacrifice, and there's a lot of things that, normal kids do, or, you might want to do that you're not going to be able to do. And there's a lot of things you're going to have to give up along the way. And it's funny, my dad's definition of sacrifice. He's like, it's not sacrifice because all you're doing is trading in for something that you really want. So it's not like I'm giving these things up. It's like, I'm not doing this because I want this instead. It's just a choice, you know what I mean? So.
All right, Spartans. So when you reframe sacrifice to Yianni's meaning, you can see how it becomes something you want to seek versus avoid. A lot of times we think of sacrifice as a negative, but in Yianni's point of view, it's a positive. And we can all take a lot away from that. And with that sacrifice, after years and years and years of doing what it takes to get to the next level, confidence builds. And that's what Yianni talks about next, where he gets his confidence from.
It's not just me, It's like this confidence is coming from other people. Mm-hmm. And then it's, on my end, it's like I'm doing everything that I should be doing. If I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm working really hard and I'm doing more than other people, like how am I going to expect to lose a match, right? So it's like when you're in those points where it's like, maybe doubt starts to creep in, or, you need to dig deep late. It's like, you know that there's been a lot of work put in and there's a lot of people behind you who know that you can do it.
Okay, Spartans, we've heard about sacrifice. We've heard about where confidence comes from for Yianni, but even with a lifetime's worth of work, it still takes a tremendous amount of courage to lay it out there when the pressure's the highest, when the stakes are their highest. And that's what Yianni talks about here as he closes this episode down. You can do everything right, prepare, sacrifice, build confidence, but in the end, you have to execute under fire. And that's something we can all take home, whether it's in a Spartan race or in our professional lives. You have to lay it out there and execute under fire.
Like, you can know a lot of moves. Like, I can drill a ton of stuff and be like, wow, look at all these moves. But it's a different level to be able to hit that in a match against, Zane Rutherford or Jordan Oliver or Rashidov or Odagura, you know what I mean? So there's like two parts to it, right? Where it's like you learn, but then you have to master it. And I think that just the combo of those two things are what I am the most interested in.
Spartans, that was awesome. I really appreciate you listening to Yianni on how he thinks about sacrifice, confidence, and performing under pressure. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Combat Series.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Amazfit. From May 18th to May 31st, Spartan Up listeners can head to us.amazfit.com/pages/Spartan to save $40 on a bundle that includes the Amazfit T-Rex Pro. That's us.amazfit.com/pages/Spartan. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Combat Series on Spartan Up Podcast. Spartan Up is your partner in resilience for mind, body, and spirit. We're here 3 days every week. Tuesdays, you can find Joe DeSena, founder and CEO of Spartan, interviewing biohackers, business leaders, authors, and athletes. Thursdays and Saturdays, catch episodes from our DECA, Endurance, Trail, Combat, and LaRuta series. Do you know someone who needs a little nudge? Maybe they could use some motivation, tactics to be stronger, healthier, happier, more successful. Tell them about our show. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. We want to know who's watching and who's listening. Thanks. See you next time.